Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Nadia and this is the place where we get real. And today I want to get real about solo sex for girls, also known as masturbation. I am going to be giving you a step-by-step tutorial on how to finger yourself, because that's what girls do to get off, and it's something that we should all know how to do. So if you've ever wondered if you're doing it right when you're going solo, or maybe you haven't touched yourself yet and this is your first time and you have questions, then make sure you keep on watching. Welcome back to my channel. Are you serious with me? Oh my god! Oh my god! I don't understand how these things always happen to me. So I thought this was a very appropriate shirt to wear for this video, because I want all women to know that your body is beautiful and it is normal, whatever normal even means. I hate that word. And that touching your body is healthy. One of the most toxic messages that we get as young women is this idea that touching your body is somehow dirty or wrong or shameful, or that we're committing some sort of a sin to touch ourselves. There is absolutely nothing wrong or inherently bad with touching your own body. And it really disturbs me quite a lot that women are so terrified to touch their own bodies that we will sooner let men touch our bodies than we will actually touch our own bodies. And so there are lots of women that go on to have partnered sex before, and sometimes years before, they've actually gotten to a stage where they feel comfortable enough to touch their own genitals. And let me tell you this right now, girls. The first person who should be touching your genitals should be you. It should not be anyone else. Because when you touch yourself, you are in control. You decide if and when you want to stop. You decide what speed, what frequency. You decide if you need to take a break. You can take as long or go as quickly as you want. There is no pressure, and you don't have to worry about what anyone else thinks, because it's something you do completely on your own. And it's also a really great way to just get familiar with your body, to feel more confident and comfortable in your body, and to learn what your body likes. Because if you want to be a woman who is really good in bed when she's having partnered sex, the best way to do that is be really good at touching yourself. Because when you know the things that feel really good for your body, you can take that information to your sexual partners and you can have really good, healthy, pleasurable sexual encounters. So I really think it's one of the most important things for young women to know how to do. And also, let me just say, if you are an older woman who's watching this video, you are a woman who is my age, in your 30s, or maybe even older, please do not feel ashamed to be watching this video. It is never too late to learn. If you are only just starting to learn about what feels good for your body now, going into your 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond, that's okay too. So I'm gonna break this video down into kind of steps of what are the kind of things that you need to know when it comes to touching yourself to have the best possible experience. And with no further ado, we're gonna get straight into step number one. Something that I really wish that I was told when I was growing up and I was first exploring my body was how important lube is and how actually helpful lube can be for women. See, in order for women to experience truly pleasurable sex, and that includes sex that we have on our own with ourselves, we need to be adequately lubricated. And it is true that when we feel turned on or horny or aroused or whatever you want to call it, when we're feeling those feelings, our body naturally does produce some lubrication. That lubrication comes out of our vagina and it gets in that area, it gets in around our vulva, around our lips, the opening, the labia. It provides really good lubrication around there. And that lubrication helps to cut down on friction. So whether you are touching yourself with your hands or a partner is touching you with a sex toy or a penis, if it is dry, if your genital area is dry, that friction is going to cause something called micro tearing. And micro tearing is tiny little tears that you can't actually see with the naked eye. They're very, very microscopic, but ultimately what it results in is kind of like a stinging or burning sensation. So if you've ever had that stinging or burning sensation, you might want to consider if there's enough lubrication down there. Things like feeling stressed, things like the types of medication that we might be taking, our age, all of those factors can actually influence whether or not we are able to get adequately lubricated. So please don't beat yourself up if you're feeling turned on and you're touching yourself and you're finding you're just not wet enough. It happens to the best of us. This is why we need to have lube on hand. Lube is there to create that lubrication for you no matter what your body is doing. And my personal preference is to just use lube anyway. Even if I am naturally very wet, I still like to use lube because the wetter, the better. That is a saying for a reason. The more juicy and wet you are down there, the more smooth everything is going to feel when you're touching yourself, and the more it's going to feel comfortable and pleasurable. And something else I really like about lube is the fact that when you put it on your genitals, it actually usually feels a little bit cool because it's coming out of a tube, and that coolness against your genitals can feel really stimulating and nice, and that can actually help to get you in the mood as well. So please don't be scared to use lube, and don't ever worry that you're using too much lube. We do have a saying in the sex positive community, and that is that there is no such thing as too much lube. You cannot overuse lube, so don't worry if you're using tons of it. That's totally fine. Lube is designed to be safe for your genitals. It's not going to cause you any harm. In terms of what sort of lube to use, if you're just starting out, I recommend KY jelly, just because you can get it from any supermarket or drugstore. It's very cheap, and most people seem to find that it's usually compatible with their skin type. It's good for people who are sensitive, and you can also use KY jelly not just on your genitals, but it's compatible with silicone toys, so sex toys and vibrators as well. So I recommend going and getting that. What happens if you're young and you're embarrassed about going and getting lube? Like, how do you get lube? You might not necessarily want your parents to know, or you might be sort of too embarrassed to go to the shop and get it yourself. Well, the good news is if you go onto a sex toy website, there's plenty of them, and in fact I will put at least one or two for you guys down in the description below this video so you can check them out. And you go to the section on lube and you order lube. The great thing about adult websites is they're actually designed to be really discreet. So when you actually put the order through, if you order it using your own credit card or your own debit card, when it comes up on your bank statement, it actually won't come up saying that you bought something from a sex shop. It will come up saying like something really generic, like SE Holdings, or just something really random. Pretty much all adult shops do that, which is really cool. And when it arrives in the mail, just say,
"Hey mum, it's a Christmas present, so I don't want you to see it because I can't let you know what I got you for Christmas."
And then she's probably not going to ask about it again. I personally like to start with a small piece. I say like a 20-cent size, because that's a coin in Australia that's about that big. I am Aussie. Sometimes people think I'm English, but no, I'm Aussie. I've never been to England. I like to start by putting it on my clitoris. So the clitoris is that kind of little knob. It's sort of like a little bump that you can feel at the top of your vulva. So it is actually just above your urethra, which is the hole that you pee out of, and your urethra sits above your vagina. That is the hole where a penis would go, or that's where you would also put a tampon. So your clitoris actually has around 8,000 nerve endings in it, and this makes it the most sensitive part of your entire body. And this is why it is the best part of your body to touch when you are fingering yourself. And so I actually recommend that is where you focus all of your time. Okay, so now that you have got your lube, now we are getting down to the actual fingering. And it goes without saying, ladies, hygiene is so important. Do not ever touch your genitals before you have thoroughly washed your hands. If you are planning on touching yourself, make sure you first make a trip to the bathroom and use lots of soap and water and get your hands really nice and clean, because it's very easy to transfer bacteria to your genitals. And if you get bacteria down there and it gets trapped down there, you can end up with a bacterial infection, which is not going to be fun. So always wash your hands before you touch your genitals. And if you have nails, make sure you're cleaning underneath them. Also, guys, if you have long nails like this, never ever put them inside yourself, because you can cut yourself, which you obviously don't want to do. If you're planning on putting your fingers inside your vagina, you want to have trimmed, clean nails. So once you've got some nice clean hands, you want to be somewhere comfortable. The best place, honestly, to masturbate is in your bedroom alone. Close the door, lock the door if your door has a lock and it allows, or wait until everyone's out of the house so you know you have that alone time, or maybe it's bedtime when everyone is asleep in the house. Get into bed and get in a comfortable position. Some people like to masturbate lying on their side or even lying on their stomach and doing it that way, and I definitely recommend trying all of those positions. But to start, lying on your back with your knees up and your legs spread apart is going to be the best position to sort of find your clitoris and get familiar with it. And then what you want to do is get 1 or 2 fingers, and you want to focus on touching your clitoris with this top section. So you're not actually using the whole fingers, you're just using this top part where you've got the nice soft padding of your fingers, because that's going to feel the most gentle and soft. And one thing with the clitoris is, because it's so sensitive, it's also very sensitive to being overstimulated. So you want to go as gently as possible to start with. You can always get a little bit firmer as time goes on, but to start, go as gently as possible, just to give yourself time to ease into it. And then with those 1 or 2 fingers, the best motion that I can recommend for great clitoral stimulation is to circle very, very small circles around. So very small, light circles. And the other motion that I can highly recommend is kind of like a seesaw. So if you've got your clitoris here, you're going to seesaw back and forth over the clitoris. I try not to go too fast because that's going to be like rubbing and creating almost like a carpet burn kind of sensation. You want to be going a little bit sort of slow, and you want to find the rhythm that feels good for you. And then once you find that rhythm that feels good, actually just keep repeating it. You don't need to change it and try lots of different techniques. Really, with pleasuring yourself and especially getting yourself to orgasm, the best thing that you can do is, once you find that particular motion that works for you, is to just don't stop, just keep doing that motion. It might take you a few attempts to work out what sort of pressure and speed that is feeling right for you, and don't feel let down if it doesn't happen straight away, if it doesn't feel good immediately, because it takes time and you have to be patient. There's lots of research to show that for women and for girls, what we think in our head influences how our genitals feel. There is a direct, essentially kind of loop between the brain and the vagina. And that means that if in our head we're really stressed about things, maybe we're stressed about something that happened at work or school, we are probably not going to be able to experience a lot of sexual pleasure, and we're almost certainly not going to be able to experience an orgasm. And that's why being relaxed is so important. So while you are fingering yourself, what you want to do is get your mind into a really relaxed state, and ideally get your mind into a really sexy state so that you can feel sexy and get turned on. So one of my favorite things to do is just think sexy thoughts. Think about things that you would like to do to someone that you have a crush on, or things that you would like to have someone do to you. The good thing is, it's your imagination. No one else is in your mind except for you. So it doesn't matter what you're thinking about. There is nothing wrong with what you're thinking about. Whatever fantasy works for you, you can go as wild or as crazy as you like, and just think those sexy thoughts. Now, if you are of age, then you can also try watching some porn. Porn can be a really great way to get yourself in a sexy mood, and to also find different things that turn you on, because when you're starting out, you might not know what it is that turns you on, and so you might like to try watching different types of porn, watching a guy and a girl together, or watching 2 girls together, or watching 3 girls together. There's all kinds of porn on the internet. And the cool thing about fantasies is, often they're not things that we want to do in real life. You might fantasize about being with another girl, but in real life, you might be happy just being with boys. There is no right or wrong to it. There's no point really questioning it or judging it. Just really relax and think those sexy thoughts, and allow your brain to sort of unwind, so you're not stressing and you're not worrying about other things. Because if you are stressing, masturbation is not going to feel good, and you're not going to be able to get to orgasm. Now, I often get asked, what exactly does an orgasm feel like? And also, how will I know I've had one? And honestly, the best advice I can give you is that if you're asking either of those questions, I can pretty much guarantee you haven't had an orgasm. When you have an orgasm, you will absolutely know that you have had one. It's a very intense feeling and it feels very different to the lead up, the rest of the masturbation. When you orgasm, everything inside you, inside your vulva, inside your vagina starts contracting. So you can feel kind of like a squeezing, contracting sensation. And then basically inside your vagina, you will have kind of spasms. You can actually feel like that kind of spasming feeling internally. You might feel like a rush of like warmth and tingliness up through your body, and you will just feel really amazing. And if you feel that feeling, then you've probably had an orgasm. But like I say, you will know that you've had an orgasm. The best way to describe it really is that it feels like a release, almost like popping a champagne bottle and like the top came off and it's like all coming out. It sort of feels like that. Now, some women, when they orgasm, can have a squirting orgasm. And when you have a squirting orgasm, you might find that some fluid comes out of your urethra. Now, while that is the hole that you pee from, please do not panic and think that you have peed yourself, because it is not pee. It is different to pee. And in fact, if you're worried about peeing yourself while you're masturbating, the best thing you can go and do is go to the bathroom before you masturbate and pee. Empty your bladder out. And then if you're still squirting when you're masturbating, you know that's not pee. That's something else. That's female ejaculate. And female ejaculate has a whole bunch of different proteins and things in it. It does have some of the components of pee or urine, but it is not urine. So please don't stress about it. And look, even if it was urine, it's really not a big deal, because once you're finished, you can just get up, wash your sheets and have a shower. The thing about sex, whether it's sex with a partner or sex with yourself, is that it can be messy. And that's okay. That's part of the fun. Sex isn't supposed to be clean and neat and tidy. That's just really not what it's about. And then when you are finished and you have finished, whether that's with an orgasm or not with an orgasm, make sure that you thoroughly clean. So actually go to the bathroom. And the reason you need to go to the bathroom after you masturbate is because when you pee, it flushes all of the bacteria out. And when you're masturbating, you can sometimes accidentally push a little bit of bacteria in around your genitals, because your hands can touch things and then you're obviously putting them in and around your genitals. So what it's recommended is that in the first 5 minutes after you finish masturbating, and this same rule applies to partnered sex, that you get up and you go and pee. Even if you don't really feel like you need to pee, just force yourself to do it anyway, and that's going to flush out any bacteria that might be in the area, and then you're good to go. If you want, you can have a shower. That can be an extra step to get extra clean, particularly if you've used a lot of lube. It can be nice to just wash that all off. But otherwise, peeing is a really great way to just flush out that area, and then you can go back to bed or continue on with your day. The main thing I want all of you girls watching this video to know is that you are not doing anything wrong by touching your body. You are not too young to touch your own body. If you're wondering that right now, like,
oh my god, am I too young? Like, I'm only 10 or I'm only 9.
There is no age that it's too young to touch your own body. There is an age that it's too young to have someone else touch your body. Someone else should never touch your body before you are ready for that. And, you know, sexually, there are laws obviously around when you can have sex that is truly consensual sex with another person. In terms of touching your own body, you're not breaking any law. Your body is there to touch. You're allowed to touch it at any age, and you're allowed to touch it as often as you want. So if you find that you really enjoy masturbating and you're like,
oh my gosh, I want to do this like every day, like 2 or 3 times a day,
do it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. Just make sure you find a private space so that no one walks in on you, because it can be a little bit embarrassing. Alright guys, let me know if you found this video helpful, and if you would like to see more videos like this about solo sex and exploring your body and getting to know yourself and feeling good in your body. Make sure if you're new here and you like this video that you hit that subscribe button, because I make lots of sex positive content on this channel, particularly around helping girls and women feel empowered in their body and their sexuality. And I really hope this video has done that for you, because every woman and every girl deserves to feel comfortable and safe in her body and to know what pleasure her body can give her. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.